The 365 Pro Wrestling.
365 Nation, Eddie Osborne here with you, and I got a very special guest today, the 5-time Elite Women's Champion, the 21st Century Fox. How are you doing today?
That's right. I'm good. I'm so good. Well, no, I'm lying. I'm okay. I'm trapped in my house with a bunch of other crazy people. But other than that, yes, I'm doing just fine. Thank you.
Perfect. I'm going to jump right into this. Now, from what I recall, you were not a fan growing up until like the Rock era.
No, I guess I wouldn't say I was a huge fan. I mean, I did watch with like my brother and stuff like that, but I wouldn't say I was a huge fan. But yeah, I definitely watched like on Saturdays and stuff. But yeah, I would say it was the Attitude Era. I guess, let me think about this. When did I really start watching it? I would say 1998 is when I really kind of got into it. And it was actually, I was working at night and my brother was watching it at home. I came home one night and I just caught the end of Raw. And I looked at my brother and I'm like, oh, you're watching it too? Because everyone at my work at the time was watching it. And it happened to be the episode where Stone Cold came in with the beer truck.
Oh, yes.
And so I'm thinking about like 80s, that style. And so I'm looking and I'm like, wait a second, what's happening here? Why is this guy coming in here with a beer truck spraying all these people? And that was the thing that kind of made me think, oh, maybe I should just watch this or see what was happening. So at the end of the like I said, I worked at night from 5 to like 10-ish, I guess. I would like try to finish my work at the end of the night as fast as I could so I could get home and like watch and see what was going on. So yeah, that's I guess when I started watching it.
Who were your favorites at that time?
Definitely, well, it was Stone Cold because he was the first one that I kind of saw right off the bat. But then everyone who knows me knows I love The Rock. Probably my favorite. He was probably the reason I was watching, period. But then when the women started really coming into it, that's, I got in even more into it. And that's when I was like, when I saw Lita, that's when I really got into it. And I was like, you know what? I think I can do this. I think, I would be able to do this. So yeah, it was definitely Rock, Lita, and the Hardy Boys. Who else? I mean, I just love watching it. I guess those were my favorites to watch. All the women, I would say Lita, but all the women really.
So you watched Lita and you're like, I can do this? And then what made you like go like, I'm actually going to do this, and then find a wrestling school and go training?
I was watching it for a couple years. Like I said, it was like 1998 I started watching again properly, I would say, watching it. And then, so when did Lita come in? She must have came in about 2000-ish. And so, yeah, so I've been watching it, not really thinking that, oh, I'm going to go and wrestle now. But like I said, when I saw the women, I remember specifically watching and thinking one night, just randomly, I can do this. Like, I'm sure I can do this. And so I think at that point, I didn't know anything about like how to get into the business or like about schools or about I didn't even really know about the indie scene either, to be honest. So I think at that point I just started like Googling, or probably wasn't Google at that time, maybe it was web crawler. I went on web crawler which was the old school Google, and I looked up wrestling or learning how to wrestle, or so it must have been something like that. Seeing, oh, there's wrestling schools actually. Oh, okay, let me check these out. Let me see, what those are about. I found the Hart Brothers Wrestling School. So the Harts obviously were a name that I knew. Like I said, wasn't a huge fan growing up, but obviously everyone knows the Harts and the Hart family. So I was like, oh, okay, there's a school in Ontario. It seems like it's good and whatever that means. Like I had no experience. And so, yeah, I decided to register at that school solely based on the name, to be honest. Like I didn't really know what else I should be looking for in a school. So I found the school, like emailed them or whatever. And yeah, I registered to the school. I remember talking to Joe on the phone, and he was like, he's I mean, anyone who knows Joe knows how good of a salesman he is on the phone. So he was like, yeah, kid, you're gonna come here and you're gonna eat, breathe, and sleep wrestling. You're gonna learn, you're gonna turn around and learn all these great things and meet great people, and you're gonna turn around and you're gonna be on TV and you're gonna learn all these stuff. And that was like Joe voice. Sorry if it's really bad. But I was like, okay, cool. And so, yeah, I did that. Before I went to the wrestling school, I found an indie show because I had known about this. I learned just from Googling and looking up stuff about Precious Lucy, who is Fisto now. And I was like, oh, wow, okay, she's here in Montreal. I can go to a show. I can see like shows live, like a real show, and talk to her. And so I went to a show. Was I don't remember which promotion it was. I just remember it was in the basement of a church.
Would that be FLQ? They were in the bottom of the church for a while.
It was probably, I really can't remember which promotion it was, but I went there. Somehow I must have messaged them and asked, and I don't know if Duronics was part of their booking or whatnot, but I remember meeting him somehow and talking to him and asking him questions. And then after the show, I was like, oh, do you think I could talk to Lucy? Because I didn't know her name. And he went and got her, and she came out, and she was super nice. I said, well, I'm going to this wrestling school, and, just asking for advice. And she talked to me. She was super, super nice and just super encouraging. And just, I guess, she was happy to see like other women getting involved too, because on the show she was doing a lot of hardcore matches back then, was wrestling a guy and stuff like that. So I don't know, in the back of her mind, if she thought, oh, this could be someone I can wrestle in the future, which we did a lot of times. But yeah, so that's kind of how I got started. Sorry if it was very long-winded, but
no, that's good. Because the Hart Brothers School in Ontario is definitely not the Hart Brothers School in Calgary. We all came to learn this. But what are some of your memories of the school?
I mean, so I was so excited to start this journey, if I can use that word. That's sometimes overused, but yeah, I was super excited to start. And I remember Derek came and picked me up, who was one of the Highlanders. He came and picked me up. He brought me to school. And I just remember going into the school, coming up the stairs, like smelling all the smells, and going into where like the ring is, and just being like, oh, like I just couldn't believe it. I was so happy, like just to see a real ring and touch it and go in it, and and then like just going to my room and kind of get settling and meeting everyone and stuff like that. And so my first impression, I kind of forgot what your question was, but my first impression of this school was just like, wow, like I'm in a real wrestling school, because I didn't know. I found out later, obviously, what was to come, and meeting Joe and everything like that. But I was so happy to be there, to be, on the road to making my dreams come true.
I always say I love the school because I learned a ton there, but I've seen so
Yes.
many people fall by the sides and some really bad things as well. But I felt if you wanted something from there, you could get it. And I think you learned a ton there, and you did really well there. What are some of your memories of actually like getting in that ring and learning the headlock takeovers and the arm drags and the body slams?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I agree with you. Like, once you were in there and then you saw all this craziness happening, a lot of people like couldn't handle it or couldn't just understand that you just need to take whatever you can, learn whatever you can as much as you can, because everyone there, we were all in the same boat and we all had the same understanding and we all wanted the same things in terms of like loving this business and wanting to learn as much as we can. So I definitely kept that in mind, and we came up, obviously you were there like the year before me, and so but we were a whole bunch of us were in there together. And I remember one time, sorry to go off a little bit, but I remember one time I had come home to Montreal for something and no one thought I was coming back. I remember everyone was like, she's not coming back. They didn't tell me this. I only found out after when I did come back, because I did come back, and everyone was like, oh man, we thought you were not going to come back. And I was like, no, like I want to learn. I want to get as much out of this as I can. And yes, I think that's important. But as far as taking the first bumps and stuff like that, I remember the very first bump I took. It was a rope bump. I took the bump, and I guess it was Rory that was like, who was one of the trainers, was like, so how was that? And I was like, okay, a bit different than I thought. Like, I got a headache right away. I got dizzy and I got a headache, but I didn't want to admit that like I was dizzy and I had a headache because it was like, wow, that was just one bump. And so I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it was a bit different. It was okay. It's okay though. And I tried to just like bite my tongue. But I remember I'm looking at my face like, is she gonna just leave now or, or what? But yeah, so the first thing I did, which the very first move I did was a suicide dive through the ropes. That was the first move I did, because you guys, you being you and Elian, and who else was there? Can't remember.
We had Spears there, Jesse.
Yeah, but you guys were just like, what's something you want to learn? And I must have mentioned that I seen Lita do this, and you guys were like, okay, go for it. And I was like, okay. So I just ran and jumped through the ropes, and you guys caught me. And then you're like, wow, like you guys were kind of impressed. And I remember you said to me, you were like, weren't you afraid your feet were going to get trapped on, like, hit the ropes or get trapped on the ropes? And I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Like, I didn't even realize that. But which I'm glad you said that after the fact and not before, because it would psych me out. But like but yeah, that was the first thing I did. But in terms of like learning all the moves and stuff, yeah, it was cool. I remember trying to learn some drop kicks, and Rory was just like, okay, yeah, it's something to work on. I was never a good drop kicker for whatever reason. And I remember doing, I remember Johnny K9 came in one of my first few classes, and he made like everyone obviously do everything, even the trainers. And so we were doing handstand bumps, and I don't think I'd done one at the time. And Rory was in front of me, and he's like, okay, everyone do this. And we were in line. I remember leaning forward and whispering like, I've never done this. And Rory turned his head slightly and was like, just do it. And I was like, oh my goodness, like what's gonna happen to me? So I'm panicking now, but I'm watching everyone. I'm like, okay, how are they doing this? Okay, they're doing it like that. Okay, they're doing it like that. So I did it. I went up. It's my turn. I'm like, okay, I did it. Got up, went back in line. He said nothing to me. So I was like, oh my goodness, I did it. I must have done it right because he didn't say anything. And yeah, so I remember doing that. I remember running the ropes and him yelling at me because I'm not a fast runner and I didn't have good cardio. And I remember running the ropes and slowing down because you just do it a few times, you get winded very easily. And he was yelling at me, Johnny Cana, and he's like, I didn't tell you to slow down. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm about to do, but I was just like, I don't want this guy to kill me. It looks like he's about to kill me. So yeah, I remember that. There's a few things that stick out in my mind, but those were the first things I remember doing.
And Kanan was a huge man and just scary as hell looking.
Yes. He was not little, yeah.
Oh, he terrified me. I have to go back to the suicide story for a minute because it made me laugh when you said, didn't you think about the bottom rope? Because that's what I still think about. And now that I'm huge and large, I'm like, I just got to do it. So I'll do it now, but I wouldn't have even done it when I was smaller and probably fit through them a lot better. Talk about Rory a little bit, Sid Summers, because I think he was a fantastic trainer in my books. He really broke things down so I could understand him. We had him as like yin, and then we had Jimmy as yang, and Juan was a dick, and I really gravitated towards him. I don't know why. And just talk about the trainers, those two in particular. K9 was K9. He just put us through the paces, and we learned, and we just kept going. But I thought Rory really was good at breaking stuff down, and is kind of not known as such a good coach, and he really was.
Honestly, he was so good. Like you said, he knew how to break things down so that you would understand, and he was patient, and he would work with you. And if there was things you need to work on, he would say it in a very diplomatic way, so that you were like not discouraged. And so they were both amazing trainers, but like you said, one, I gravitated more towards Sid because he was a bit more gentle, my style, I guess. And yeah, Juan, he was so mean. He was so mean to me. Yep. And that was just his style. But for me, and like you said, you loved it because I guess it was like a motivation. He wanted you to do and it was just trying to get the best out of you, and that's how he got the best out of you. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe they decided, hey, I'll be good cop, you be bad cop. We'll see what happens. But they were both good trainers. I mean, I guess on my high flying stuff, I learned from Juan. I remember him being there when I was doing, must have been head scissors, I think.
He was always trying to push you into that stuff.
Yeah, and so he helped me with all that type of stuff, which I definitely appreciated. But I was I was insecure while I was training because I never fully, I guess I was so hard on myself. I wanted everything to be good and to be perfect. And I guess I was super hard on myself. I never really, I guess I took the time to realize, hey, you're doing this, you're doing it, well. There's always room for improvement. No one ever can learn everything. Everyone's always learning. I'm sure you are still learning things as well. But I mean, I guess I wish I would have just maybe just bit my tongue a bit in terms of Juan's side, because I probably would have learned a lot more. But like I said, he was mean, so.
I remember I started training. I started teaching people, and you came in and you're like, maybe I don't know if you're participating or not, but I was training people, and then after, like, you're an asshole like Juan. I'm like, what? And you're like, you want to be like him? He's a jerk. You want to be more like Sid? I'm like, oh, okay. Because I was really hard on people when I trained them, like terribly hard, like how I was taught. And then you just like went off. I'm like, oh my god. And so when I moved back to BC and I started my school here, I tried to change things up, be a little more encouraging. I'm still very hard on the guys, but much more encouraging. And Easy E came, and he's like, you got soft. I'm like, no, I'm just taking a different approach. But he remembers the old like Jimmy days, because that was passed down to me and how I treated him. But I just remember you losing it on me, like, don't be a jerk, and like going nuts. Like, oh no. But I love Juan and I love Sid. I still talk to both of them, so they're huge parts of my life. And I'll phone Juan and be like, hey, can't remember how to teach this. And they'll give me advice, and it's pretty cool.
I just wanted to say as well that even though Juan was mean, that everyone learns differently. I mean, you really clicked with him, and I didn't click as much with him in that sense, but everyone learns differently. So I think you just have to take, what you like or what you are learning from somebody. And then if you don't agree with, other things, then just to let that go. But yeah, everyone learns differently. Everyone can learn from everyone. So just because one person, likes a certain style of teaching, doesn't mean that somebody else might not like it. So, yeah.
What about your first ever match? Like, that must have been amazing. To like, you practice, you worked hard, and now you get to actually have a match.
Yeah, oh my goodness. I was so excited, but I was so nervous, which is normal, obviously. Even to this day, I think I would always have a bit of nerves. I think nerves are good. It means you like care about what you're going to do. But yeah, I was super excited. I was super nervous. And it was against Elmira. Actually, no, she wasn't Elmira. I think the first match she was Sensual Sandy, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
And I just remember going out there, and she was a baby face. I was a heel, and which didn't make sense. But anyway,
no,
it didn't make sense only because, like, I had no idea what I was doing, and like, Anyway, but we went out there, and people started cheering for me, and so I didn't know how to deal with that, because I was just like, no, I'm supposed to be a bad guy and I'm mean, and so I didn't have the I didn't have the brains or whatever to be like, oh, maybe we should switch this up a bit. But I think we just we went out there, we did what we it was a good, I mean, I had fun. I know Sandy had fun too. And I guess for me, that was the most important thing, is just to like go out there, have fun, and know that, okay, it's gonna get better. I'm gonna understand how to handle this and that situation. So yeah, it was super fun. I was super happy, and yeah, that was my first match.
I always remember you call me your big brother in wrestling. He's my mentor, Reggie Marley. When I first started branching out and stuff, he always would go, did you have fun? I'm like, oh, but we screwed up this. And he'd be like, did you have fun? I'm like, yeah, it was the greatest time of my life. He's like, just keep remembering that. I'm like, oh, okay. But like, because we'd watch our tapes back all the time and get down on ourselves and be like, oh, no, I got to fix this and this. But he was always pushing the fun. And even till like yesterday, he's like, hey, man, you like that, Matt? Yeah, it was great. Good. So he's always been so encouraging that way. And when you said you had fun, that's what everyone should be having in this. Obviously, working your butt off and trying to kill it, but you got to have fun.
Yeah, definitely. And just know that even if you mess up, first of all, only, I mean, unless it's something super, super obvious, I guess. But only you, especially if you have something planned that you wanted to do and you didn't do it or what have you, like only you know that, first of all. And secondly, yeah, it's about learning. It's like, okay, yeah, maybe I didn't do this and that, but I had fun. And guess what? Next time I won't do that, or I'll do this. And yeah, so definitely it's, you have to have fun. Like, yeah, try to remember what you want to work on, but it has to be fun too, or it's why you're going to kill yourself.
In Ontario at that time, there wasn't a whole bunch of promotions, so you really had to branch out to get matches, and you'd go back to Quebec, Ohio, all over Ontario. How was that time in your life? And Eileen asked me how many kilometers you drove to get me, him, and Jesse Jones and Buck Tendy events.
Too many. Yeah, I wish I actually calculated that, because
Wow.
I would have fun, but I mean, we would have fun like there, and like have fun in my matches and stuff. But I was always so pissed off after, because I knew that I was the only one that could drive and had to drive. And I would just be like, oh man, like I didn't so much mind driving there. It was the drive back, because obviously we're all tired. And at this point, it's probably something in the crazy o'clock in the morning. And so yeah, I went through a few red lights, that was for sure.
And these are long drives. They're like 4 hours, like in that area. Like they weren't like an hour away.
Exactly. So yeah, by the time we were on the way back, it's just like, oh man, these stupid guys don't have their license, or stupid guys can't do this and that.
I remember we were in Ohio, and I got pie in my face for some reason. I was the Doink the Clown thing. And we're driving back, and I couldn't open my eyes. And you found it so hilarious. You're like, that's what you get for falling asleep. And I'm like, but I can't see. And I had to like uncrust my eyes. It was a terrible moment. And you just found it so humorous that that's what you get for sleeping.
Yeah, good.
And then I remember, I forget where it was. I think it was somewhere in Ontario, but it was a ways away. And it was yourself, Eileen, and I. And you're like, I just can't do this anymore. You have to drive. I'm like, sweet. So I'm driving. And then I tried to pass somebody, but they sped up. I'm like, no. So I sped up more. And then there's this truck in the other lane. I'm like, oh, God. And no one said a word. It was very quiet in my head. Maybe you guys were screaming, but in my head, I'm like, oh, no. And then I just got back in time. And I just remember it was still quiet for like a couple minutes. And then I never drove again for a long time after that.
I remember that so well. And when I think about drives and stuff like that, I always think about that. And you are not wrong. It was dead quiet in the car, because we were watching to see, is this the last moment of my life? Like, are we about to die right now? And like, so screaming would have been futile. Like, there was no point in screaming, because we're like, just be quiet so Eddie can concentrate, and just let's see what happens. But I was scared for my life. I won't lie. There's been a couple of drives that, not necessarily all with you, but there have been a few where I'm like, wow, I think this is how it ends. I'm not sure. But that was definitely a moment where, and then after you passed, we were just, I think it was just like, we're trying to come down off of the fact that, okay, we're still alive, and we couldn't believe it. So yeah, we were quiet. I believe Jesse Jones was in that car as well.
Might have been, yeah. He was with us a lot. I love tormenting him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was there. He would have to confirm that. But
now,
there have been, I remember driving, sorry, just to cut you off a little bit. But I remember driving with Angelina Love, and we used to travel a lot together. back in the day. And I remember she was driving and we were coming back home late, and it was her car and she was driving, and her saying something about seeing bats on the road. She's like, "Oh, why is there all these bats on the road?" And I'm thinking, I'm looking on the road, I see nothing. She's like, "Oh, there's a big muffin and a bat." I'm like, "A big muffin and a bat?" I'm like, "Oh, maybe we should pull over," because you're like becoming delirious. Like, I think, I'm not even sure where we were coming back from. I think that was somewhere in New York, I think. But yeah, so there's been a few times. I have another story. I don't know if you want to hear that, or we should.
I definitely want to hear it. Oh, keep going.
Okay. There's a story. I was doing a WXW in Philly, and we were driving back. It was just me and Aurora, and we were driving back, and we had like a couple of matches there, and we had gone out for dinner with everyone, and so we were driving back. But she had just come off of a tour from somewhere out east, so she hadn't slept in about 2 days. And here I am going on about 24 hours without sleep. So we did everything. We're like, okay, let's drive. We're driving back. I'm driving. I can't drive. I just know I can't drive. I'm like, can we just pull over? She's like, I can drive for a bit. She starts driving. She's like, no, I can't drive either. I'm like, let me try again. So I get back in the car. We're driving. I'm like, nope, it's not happening. So, but at this point, we had already been driving for about, I don't know, 3 hours off and on an 8-hour drive, I would say. So finally, I'm like, you know what? Let's just stop at this McDonald's on the side of the road. We had made it to the main bit of the highway at this point. So I'm like, let's stop at this McDonald's. We'll sleep and we'll continue in a bit. She's like, okay, fine. So I tell her she's driving at this point. So I tell her to pull over. So she pulls over at this McDonald's and we're sleeping. Now, I don't know how long it's been. It's probably been like about an hour or so, 45 minutes. So she starts the car. I'm kind of still sleeping. She starts the car and she starts driving. I'm like, oh, I guess she had her power nap and she wants to just get home at this point, and so do I, quite frankly. So I'm just resting in the side. We're on the highway and she starts veering off to the side again and pulling back, and then veering off to the side and pulling back. And I'm like, Aurora, and she's like, whoa. I'm like, pull over, just pull over. I'll drive. So she pulls over. We switch. I'm driving. She falls asleep instantly in the passenger side. So we're driving. About an hour later, she wakes up and she's like, "Where are we?" And I'm like, "We're driving." Remember? She's like, "Wait, why aren't I in the driver's seat?"
Oh no!
And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, Wasn't I the one driving? Weren't we at the McDonald's? I'm like, wait a second.
Oh,
I'm like,
man.
you just woke up and started driving on the highway for like, and she's like, I don't remember that. I'm like, you were asleep. That honestly woke me up, knowing that she was driving, and we just drove the rest of the way. Like, I just drove the rest of the way because I'm like, you know what? No, not today. Not today. I want to make it home alive.
Jeez.
So that was kind of not.
That's terrifying.
That was so scary. So yeah, for all you newbies out there, just, you know what? If you need to take a break, just take a break. I called in tired at my work in the morning because I was too tired to start my day at like whatever time. So if you need to call in tired, but like just take a little break and know it's okay. Okay.
Indie workers are warriors. All wrestlers in general, like entertainment, how we get to one town to the next and all that. So definitely take a break. And I can only see that. Where's Fox? She called in tired. What? She's just tired, man.
and they're like, you weren't. I got to work later because I started the work. I think I was supposed to start at 11:30. I started at 3. I worked at a bank at the time, and someone's like, "Did you call in tired?" I'm like, I couldn't even. I was so tired, I couldn't even think of an excuse other than I'm just tired, man. I can't make
tired.
And they're like, weren't you embarrassed to say that you were tired? I'm like, dude, honestly, I was so tired that I didn't even care. Like, they could have just fired me, I think, at that point. I was that tired that I was just like, there's no way I'm coming into work. Sorry. I was too tired to lie. Can you imagine?
That's awesome. Now, you wrestled so many people. Who are some of your favorite people to wrestle?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I always love. Well, first of all, I have to start with my first opponent ever, which is Almar, the Iron Maiden. We always had fun. You want to talk about having fun in a match? We always had fun. Always. And even when we messed up, that was fun and that was funny to us. So I definitely loved that she was a person I just broke into the business with, because she put everything into proper perspective for me, and she really taught me. She taught all of us so much. Like, not even just the actual moves and stuff, but just like psychology and just about having fun. And she went through so much being at that school, being the only girl for so long.
Yeah.
That she just had a different kind of empathy for other people. And she went through the ringer. She really went through the ringer. So I'm so happy that I got to break into the business with her. So I always loved wrestling her. Obviously, my rival forever, Misty Haven. Have to say Misty, obviously. We had some great matches as well, and that was always good times too. I was so happy I got to wrestle cheerleader Melissa. That was so much fun. She taught me a lot as well, like just move wise too, and a lot about psychology as well. But we would have little we would just have little practices basically, and she'd be like, okay, what is something you want to learn? Not even something that we were going to do in the match, but just, hey, is there anything that you want to learn or that we want to practice? Even if you don't use it now, you could always use it later and stuff. So she was always good about. I learned a lot of different moves from her, and just learned a lot from her. I got to work Sarah Del Rey one time, and that was so much fun. Actually, it was fun, but I was super sick that day, and I was so angry that I was so sick because my cardio was off, and I just couldn't think straight a lot of times. And if I think part of that match is online, actually.
It's on Vimeo.
But I was so sick, and I didn't tell her I was sick either, because I didn't want to complain or have any excuses or anything. So I never told her I was sick, but I was so sick. And so sometimes I'm looking back at that match and I'm like, oh, why did I do that? Or why did I do this? But my brain wasn't fully functional. So so if anyone watches that, just remember I was super sick. I'm sad I never got to work her again, because she said that she, would love to work me again. And obviously I would have loved to work her again, but I loved working Ali, who's Ali now in AEW, Cherry Bomb. Loved working her. That was always fun too. I think I was one of her first matches as well.
Pretty sure, yeah. Outside of her school.
Outside of her school, yeah. I think I was the first person she worked outside of her school at the time, yeah. So that was always fun. There's so many girls, but I guess those are the ones that are kind of sticking out to me. I always liked working Angelina as well. She was super cool, and I learned so much from her. And she was always encouraging too. She always was like, come to my school, come here. Okay, we can drive together. We can go here together, because we were often booked on a lot of the same shows together. And she never hesitated to give me a lift or just want to work with me. So definitely give a big shout out to her too. She really tried to push me in good ways when I just, like I said, I didn't have all the confidence in the world, and I didn't see, I guess, the things that other people were seeing me, which is sad, I guess, in life in general. You know, when you don't see the thing that makes you special, or that you're good at, when you kind of don't have that confidence. So yeah, she definitely helped me as well. Got to meet a lot of great women and great guys too.
I feel like the women you mentioned, they were all like, I don't want to say pioneers, but there was not a lot of women in the industry at that time, and each one of them went through such struggle to get to where they were. And then with you working with them as well and showing passion and that you wanted it, like, there's just instant bonds created between you guys that are so much different than, like, there's so many male wrestlers at that time. We were all good boys, we were all friends and everything, but like, you guys had such deep bonds. And you and Elmira, like, you guys would just have giggle fits and like laugh over nothing and die, and like what is going on? And they just smile and then they go do their match or whatever they wanted to do. But all those women are like truly inspirational to women's wrestling, men's wrestling as well, but they did so much for the industry, I believe.
I completely agree, and I think it's more akin to how it is now. I feel like women now in the business, we're all rooting for each other and we're all trying to encourage each other. And it started for me. It started back then, but I also know back then being like the early 2000s, there was, you know, a lot of like, because there's not a lot of spot for us on cards a lot of time, women, I mean, sometimes there could be like a bitterness. And I was very fortunate that everyone I worked with was just amazing, always encouraging, always wanting to lift each other up. But I did see, and I did like hear like how, you know, there's like that, and I'm sure it happened for the guy side too. There's like, you know, backstabbing and stuff like that, just because there's only that one spot on the card, you know?
Yeah.
But like I said, I was so thankful that everyone I met, and I guess because we all, like you said, had that understanding that, you know, it's a sisterhood, really, and we have to be there for each other because no one else is going to be, you know. And so yeah, I was so fortunate with all the women that I met, that they always loved the business, always wanted to do their best, always wanted to learn, and yeah, we just always tried to encourage each other. So
do you remember a long time ago you did an interview and you said, I just want women's wrestling to be taken more seriously on TV? Are you like proud now, like what you see on TV? Like, you must be beaming how women's wrestling, like, they were the main event at WrestleMania. They're killing it on Raw. I always thought they were gonna have their own women's show, but they were carrying Raw and SmackDown, so they couldn't even do that at the time. So you must be so proud of how far it's come.
Definitely, 100%. And like I said, going back to like when you know, I was coming up and stuff in the business, that was always the goal of all of us women, everyone that I had the pleasure of working with, was always like, let's wrestle, let's show what we can do, let's show that we are just as good. I mean, the training's the same, right? We all train together, like men and women. So why can't we be looked at in the same regard, you know? So that was always the goal for all of us. I mean, and so, yeah, definitely I am so like happy and proud, and especially seeing, you know, some of the women who were coming up at that time, like Mercedes Martinez, and that she she made it. That was always her goal, as it was for a lot of us. To make it to like the Fed or make it to a big company, but be able to showcase what we can do and actually work and so yeah, I'm definitely happy. And then when I see Ali and like all these girls who I came up with who are doing it, and it's just amazing. I just feel I feel proud, I feel happy, and I feel like I was a part of that journey, even though I'm not currently wrestling at the moment. I definitely feel like we helped with that movement.
100%. Now, was it 2007 you did the WWE tryout experience type thing? Can you kind of talk about that and how that all came about?
Yeah, they were like I said, my memory's bad. But I remember they were having they were coming to Canada. They're coming to Ottawa and Toronto, I think. And they were having kind of like a casting call. I guess it was, what would it be the equivalent to now? Like kind of like a Tough Enough type of thing, I guess. Anyway, so it was like a casting call. You're supposed to send in like pictures and like a bio of some kind, and just some information about you, and I guess links to like videos and stuff like that of matches you had done. And so I sent my stuff in. Actually, it's funny because I wasn't going to send my stuff in, and Danger Boy was the one who said, "Did you send your stuff in?" And I said no, and he's like, "Why not?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know, maybe I'm not good enough or what they're looking for, whatever." He's like, "Send your stuff in." He's like, "Do it. Like, honestly, do it." He's like, "I don't see how they cannot pick you as one of the people." And so I did do it in the end, and yeah, I got picked, and so thankful that I sent it in, because it was a great experience, and got to meet all kinds of amazing people. So Booker T was there, Fit Finlay was there. It was just it was fun. It was a great experience.
And you guys worked your butts off, though, no? Like squat after squat, running stairs. Like, they really put you guys through the paces.
Yeah, they did. And I remember, training. I remember training for that, knowing that, like hearing rumors that they were going to do that. I remember at night, like just doing squats, like every night, just trying to build up my legs and build up like working out. And like didn't have a lot of money at the time. And so just, I remember getting, like, well, we were living together, and like you would bring home potatoes and stuff. And I just had potatoes. And I remember going to Wendy's. I don't know why I decided to eat fast food, but I remember going to Wendy's at lunch. I never had my lunch. And like just getting like a grilled chicken burger, but like only eating the lettuce and the chicken, and maybe getting like a salad with that and stuff like that. So I tried to like eat as best as I could with what I had, and I did end up, I did lose a bit of weight, and I did end up getting in shape. So but yeah, I just remember every night like doing squats and like trying to do like at least 100 squats a night just to like build all that up. And it came in handy, because I think we ended up doing 400 squats, something like that. And I think we had to get to 100, but they said every time we messed up, we'd have to, or anybody messed up or anybody stopped, we'd have to restart. And there was just one jabroni who was just not in shape. I know they did it on purpose. I know they picked him on purpose. I don't know who the guy was. I don't even know if he was a wrestler or not, or just some random guy that just sent in his stuff. But he kept messing up, and I remember Booker T yelling at him and being like, "Look, none of the girls are even dropping. Like, what's wrong with you?" And boom, and like, So yeah, they did. I remember doing the steps. The steps were hard. I remember that. But yeah, then we got in the ring and tried to show what we can do, and they would tell us to do things. And yeah, it was cool. It was really cool. So glad and happy I got to do that.
Amazing. Now, do you think if like just circumstances, like seeing kind of yourself from the outside, you could have done more to get to the Fed? Because I think we all thought you could get there. Like we all thought you were going there for sure. But I don't think anyone really talked about it in our group as much. And then that's why like a Danger Boy or a Spears, like, or an Angel or Angelina would push you more in that direction. Like, did you ever like think big time about it, or like how was that all to you? Because I always thought you'd get there for sure.
To be honest, to be very honest, when like I mentioned, I didn't really grow up watching it too much, and then I didn't really know too much about the indies and stuff like that. So I had no idea how it worked. So yeah, I did want to get to WWE now. I did want to get to the WWF at the time. That was my goal, and in my naivety, if that's a word, I thought I was gonna have to like be at the wrestling school for like a year or so, like a little more than a year, and train and do this and that. And then I thought it was like, then you kind of just go there. Not that they just come and get you, but I thought it was like going to be a bit easier until I got into it. And then I saw the extent of like how many people were doing this and how many, because like I said, I was naive to the whole business. And I did still think, not that I was going to give up and stuff like that, but I think, like I said, I guess maybe I never really, at a certain point, believed in myself and never really pushed myself past a certain point, which I know I mentioned to you that I wish I had the brain and like the thing that I have now then, because yeah, I'm fairly sure I would be in the Fed now. But like I said, I was like my early 20s. I was very insecure and stuff like that. Even though people, Sean Spears told me like, you're good, like just do it, like just. I'm sure a lot of people wanted to smack me at a certain point because they were just like, this girl has like the potential, but she's not using it for whatever reason. I guess I was scared, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I definitely wish that I could just take my brain and go back in the future and put it in the old me. And
for sure. I think we all do. Yeah. I always remember you doing so well. I'm like, wow, like, damn. But for me, it worked out because you got to wrestle for PWA, and you got to be a huge part of it. I always tried to do a lot with women's wrestling in PWA, and you're a huge staple in that. Just last year, closed it up. Called it the end of PWA, made a new promotion that probably like hopefully triggered some memories of like your PWA past.
I was there at the beginning when you guys decided to, and to be honest, it wasn't until recently that I realized like that it was you. So it was you, Jeff Black.
Yeah.
Was it just you and Jeff Black? Wait.
Joey was in it as well, but he was kind of the silent partner.
Right. And I didn't realize at the time because I don't know why. Like, I don't know if I was just, my head was down or what have you, but I didn't realize that you guys had all talked about this because I really saw it as your baby. And I just thought it was 100. I think. Well, I think it was just 100. I honestly just thought it was 100% your idea. Actually, to be honest.
Well, I always wanted to do it. So.
Yeah, and I guess being on that side and like being close to you, like that's all I saw. So I just saw your side of things. I mean, yeah, it was amazing. It was so cool. There was so many, people that, I mean, I was thankful I got to work so many cool people because, I mean, I got to work April Hunter, I got to work Ivory, and Molly Holly was involved as well. And there were so many, like cheerleader Melissa, like there were so many people I got to like work, selfishly, like it was super amazing and cool for me. And so many, guys like Samo Joe came in, and Carino came in, and just learning from all these people. So it was such a cool promotion. It was like, we were family. Like anyone who ever came in, you just come one time and you're part of the PWA family. So it was really cool, and I always loved working PWA. I mean, at a certain point, I think I was only working PWA because it was just so much fun, and we were all together all the time. So it was amazing. And yeah, definitely, like when I heard that it was closing or changing names, I was sad because I feel like, I know I always am like telling you like that I'll come wrestle again one day, and I guess I always thought it was going to be under that banner. So it was kind of sad because I did want to come to the last show actually, but then circumstances happened that I wasn't going to be able to come in the end, so which I was sad about, because I was really making plans to come, but it didn't work out in the end. And so so I was kind of sad, but then there's so many great memories. I met so many great people, that so it was sad in that way that particular era was done, but I'm sure 365 is going to be even bigger, even better. It seems like it already is. So I'm happy for you guys for that.
When you tell me or tell people that you said you're going to come back for one more match, this has been over a decade, people. I've been like, at least once a year, I throw the message out, minimum. And then, yeah, that was nuts.
I know, but you know what? Because then, I got pregnant, and then I got pregnant again, and then I was just like not happy, like with, myself, I guess. And, you get old, and then you start feeling all the aches and pains, and like your knee and your hip. I got oh my goodness, my hip was just hurting a lot just recently. And then it's like, don't stop asking me. Let's just put it that way. Don't stop asking me, because one day I will surprise you. You're going to catch me on the exact right, perfect day, and it's going to happen.
When, I think it was 2008, you moved back to Montreal?
It was 2007.
2007? Okay.
Yeah.
So once you started back there, they had ALF, which is an all-ladies promotion, was it not?
Yes.
And that was with Lucy, no? Or maybe I'm wrong there, but...
Yeah, okay. No, she was definitely the one behind it. It was, I remember, because I hadn't been wrestling for a little while, and when I came back, I'm like in Montreal now, I'm in my hometown, and a lot of the girls that were on that first show, they were like new, they were coming up, so I didn't know who they were. And I remember, we were all like meeting before the first show, and Lufisto like introduced me, and like, everyone clapped and stuff like that. But I remember feeling like it was the first time, because I didn't know anyone. I was so used to and loving my little Ontario bubble, and I worked there for years, so I was super comfortable with like everyone there and stuff like that. So like coming into a new locker room, it was just like, okay, wow. And then these girls who are new now, and they're looking, up to me as well, as someone who had been in the business for years at that point now. And so it was just like, okay, wow, this is like, this is going to be like a new, different experience. But I was definitely missing my Ontario peeps for sure. And I think at that point I was still coming back a little bit back and forth, working in Ontario and working for a few promotions in Montreal. But ALF was the first one that I worked for. Yeah, when I came back. Now it's NCW kind of took it over. So yeah.
Awesome. No, that's awesome. They've always been doing so many good things there. Now, with everything that's happened in all this time with you wrestling and like your whole journey, we'll use that word again. What do you want the history of the 21st Century Fox to be?
Oh my goodness. Like my legacy, you mean?
Yeah, like what do you want to be remembered for in pro wrestling?
Okay, wow. I guess I just want to be remembered as kind of like what you were saying before, just someone who always wanted, the best for the business and especially for the women in the business, and just to be remembered as like one of the leaders, and one of the pioneers of that movement, coming up with all these like incredible women like Lufisto and Mercedes and Beth Phoenix and Angelina, and just helping to get to where it is now. I hope that people will remember me as that, someone who just loved the business, loved and wanted it to do well, and especially for women to do well in this business. So, and that I was really, really, really cool, and that I was the first ever PWA Elite Women's Champion.
There we go. Now,
is that a shameless plug?
I always love them. Kind of a fun question, just because we are all cooped up, we're all quarantined. If you had to be trapped in a house with 3 wrestlers, they could be WWE, AEW, alive or dead, who would they be?
That's a good question, actually. Let's see. Okay, it'd have to be The Rock because, well, just for the eye candy, probably. And he would be good at helping me work out and keeping in, or I should say, getting in shape, and staying in shape. And I really want to try his tequila. So, and then let's see, probably you would think I would say Lita, but I'm going to say Trish Stratus, actually, because she's Canadian, and I follow her on Instagram, and she cooks really well. She cooks good food. and Lita's vegan. Not that I have anything against vegans, and I'll write in and be like, "Oh, Fox hates vegans." I don't. But Trish would make the food that would be cool for, and she'd make it into animals and stuff. I see she makes it like all fun for her kids. So I'd be like, "Oh, can you make me a frog lunch today? Is shaping a frog." So I would pick those 2, and then who was I've been trying to think, like, who would the third person be, and who would the third person be? I guess it would be so okay, let me pick someone from like more of today's era people. I would pick Natty. Nice. I'd met her before. We were on a show together. She is super cool, and I just think that it'd be super cool because she would just be like spitting all kinds of like wrestling knowledge on me, and we would like, I feel like we could just wrestle like all day, and we're getting workouts from The Rock. Trish is like giving us fitness and nutrition as well, and then like me and her could like just be wrestling all the time and stuff. Like I really wish I could have worked her. And I remember her saying, I will toot my own horn now. But I remember Natty saying that at the time, she wanted to work me as well. And so, yeah, that would be cool because I just miss wrestling. I do wrestle my kids, but you know, it's not the same. It's not the same. I wish I could, you know, just, you know, train and have fun and do all that type of stuff. So I picked Natty.
Awesome.
And it's
If you never became a pro wrestler ever in your life, what would you have become?
Oh my goodness! If I never became,
Yeah, if you never did wrestling, what job would be your ideal job?
Oh my goodness, that is a good question. I guess I would probably be like an actor, do acting. Does that count? Is that?
No, I see that.
Yeah.
I thought you'd definitely say something like that. Because you did the VJing at Music for a Thing. You did the one show. Like, I always thought you had the charisma.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Yes, I do. You're right. No, but yeah, I always loved acting, and I did want to be an actor too at a certain point. That kind of got discouraged by certain family members, but it's okay. That's why I ran away and became a wrestler instead.
I'm sure they're very happy about that. Now, if you were to write a book, what would the title be?
Ooh, it would be called Crazy Like a ...
Nice. I like that one. Now, what makes you feel inspired or like the best you?
That's a good question. I'm
only laughing because we did it a couple times. Like, what are you asking me?
You're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to just pretend like I'm super smart. That's a good question, Edward. I think no, honestly, like, I'll be honest, the last month I've been trapped in the house with a bunch of people. I'm going nuts. I'm going crazy. But what I haven't been doing, which always makes me feel better and good, is working out. I mean, I really got into boxing recently, and I love that. It gets, I have a heavy bag at home. And so, you know, I guess because I'm not wrestling and I'm not doing that physical thing, boxing has really just made me feel better. But just working out in general, I've been working out today with a bit of weights. So yeah, I'm back on my fitness journey now. But I would say that makes me feel like the best me, only because you work out, you feel good, you get those endorphins going, and then I'm a better, mom and wife and all that stuff. So I would say that makes me feel like the best me, having some, punching things and hitting things and lifting things that aren't people.
I love it. Now, I don't even know if you remember this, but we took the trip to like Papineauville, Quebec, and from Ontario, I think it was like 6.5 hours. And we did the show and everything, and it was intermission. I think I was up top. You could look down at the ring, and this little girl came up to you, and she said, "You're amazing, and I feel like I could do anything in the world." Or she said something along those lines. I'm like, wow, what have the fans meant to you in pro wrestling?
Oh my goodness. Honestly, like, it's so amazing, and it's just so great. I mean, like you said, like when you have somebody come up to, especially for me, when I had little girls like come up to me and be like, wow, like I didn't know girls could do this. Or, I mean, I like I said before, I worked in a bank, and I was interviewed for the local paper, and a woman came in with the article, and she came up to I was a teller, she came up to me and she was like, "Oh, is this you?" And I said, "Oh yeah, that's me." And she's like, "My daughter read the article, and she said to me, 'Oh, I didn't know that girls could do sports like that. And she's like, yeah, because she had two other brothers who were into hockey, and it like encouraged her or inspired her to want to try. I think she ended up doing soccer, I think. But when you hear stuff like that, it's like, wow, you don't know what, what you think is like a little thing maybe is, entertaining people for those moments. But you don't know how other people can react to that or be inspired by that. So for me, I mean, that's the whole reason we do it, right? Not to get praised or to do that, but it's to entertain people and have people feel a certain way. Whether, I mean, I was a heel a lot of times, and even when people were yelling and getting mad at me, it's like, yes, just get out all your frustrations that you've had for this week and like yell at me or do whatever you need to do, just to have a little bit of a release or like a little bit of like fun for a moment, because we don't know what, people are going through. And maybe that's the only, fun moment they're going to have that week. But yeah, the fans are like, I mean, I think everyone would think that the fans are like everything to us and the reason, we do it.
I agree. Now, my last question is just an open floor. Is there anything you'd like to say or get out there, maybe promote where people can talk to you online? I won't even ask you if you want to wrestle this episode. I'll try for another one.
Yeah, I mean, if people want to follow me, I mean, they can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is at MelissaMT514. And I've also just started a new Instagram. It's called the We Community Life, and basically that's a platform for women. It's kind of like a women encouragement Instagram page, and I'm going to have a Facebook as well. And it's basically a place where I want to promote women's stories, not just their tragedies, but their triumphs as well. Like, I suffered from postpartum depression after having my daughter, and so I'll be sharing that story soon on there. But I guess it goes back to kind of to the wrestling thing, like just wanting women to have a place where you can just know that you're not alone and be encouraged, and know that we're all here for each other, and we're all in it to win it. I guess. So yeah, those are the two Instagrams they can follow me on, and yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and talking to the whole 365 Nation and everyone else who listens to this. I really appreciate it. We hope you get you in the ring sometime soon, and we hope you'll talk with us again more about the We Project and everything about that in the future.
Anytime. Yes, I'm trapped in a house, so anytime you want to talk, I'm all for it.
Thank you again. We'll talk soon.
Okay.